everyone, I am Sasi, Assistant Professor, Department of Computer Science from Bharatiyar Arts and Science College for Women, Deviakuruchi. Today we are going to discuss about a domain of information technology that is network security. In this session, we learn about basic concepts and different types of attack involved in network. Now look at the topic we will be covering as follows: basic definition of network, some network security definitions and why network security is basically needed. Then we look on types of attacks when network security is not properly implemented. To continue this, first we are going to learn about what is network. In simple language, a computer network is a collection of computers or devices, also known as nodes, which are connected to each other in a certain pattern and can communicate with each other using some protocols. Protocols are a set of rules that define how the communication is going to happen. That we will discuss in future classes. As we can see on image, there are bunches of computers and devices which are connected to each other over internet, and they can communicate with each other as on certain protocols that we mentioned on earlier. These are called topologies. Now we have to understood about what is meant by network. Let me discuss using an example why network security is important. Here there are two people, Alice and Bob. With reference of these, Alice, Bob and Tom are most favorite characters of many network authors. Here is the scenario. The Alice and Bob want to talk each other, but they are far away. Alice sends an electronic mail to the Bob. Here there is no network security for their communication over the internet. The third fellow, Tom, present in the same network, as the data flow on the network open to everyone. On that network, Tom can be noted what information they have to transfer from Alice to Bob. Since Alice sent the mail as plain text without encryption and encoding, Tom can see the message content directly. Suppose Alice sent the account number and password that Tom is definitely going to trace. This is the most frequently and well-known example for the lack of security of network to find possibility of the fraud. This is the most probably emerging in our present lifestyle and scenario. Everything will happen over the network, which is used by the network. Send the email, chat with the online, purchasing clothes and products by using online payments. So these are the activities which is based on the information passed through a network. So nowadays the network security is the most important one of the IT domains as entire life. So now we understand why the network security is important. So let's have a look at the theoretical definition of network security. Network security is the protection of access to files and information on a computer network against hacking, misuse of others and unauthorized access to change the system. Now we have to understood the concept and the importance of network security, and let me discuss about types of attacks that can occur when network security is not implemented properly. Depending on how attacks takes place, they are categorized in two types: active attacks and passive attacks. Active attacks are further categorized into three types: interruption, modification, fabrication. The modification categorized into two types: replay attacks and alterations. Passive attacks are classified into two types: release of message content and traffic analysis. Now we are going to look up the first types of active attack. Active attacks are based on modification of the original message in some manner in the creation of false message. These attacks cannot be prevented easily. Active attacks can be subdivided into three categories: masquerade, modification and denial of service. First is masquerade. Masquerade is caused when unauthorized entity pretends to the another entity. To clear this, let me see an example. In this example, Alice and Bob are legal and legitimate users. In this case, an authorized communication takes place in between Alice and Bob. But one newer comes Tom. He masquerade and discussed with Alice and communicate with Bob on behalf of Alice. Due to poor lack of authentication, Bob communicates to Tom by think that he is an Alice. In this situation, Bob releases his confidential information like account number and password to Tom, not by an Alice. Next, we will discuss about modification attack. This is the second type of active attack. Modification results in some alterations to the original message. It results loss of integrity. It contains two types. One is replay attacks and another one is alterations. Modification attack has to usually results in loss of integrity. The first one is replay attacks. In replay attacks, user captures a sequence of events or some data units and resends them. This will understand through an example. Here three entities, Alice, Tom and bank. Now Alice wants to transfer $100 to Tom to initiate the transaction with the bank. Tom captures the transaction and he initiates another transaction in his needs. These results will repeat again $100 to transfer. The bank doesn't know the second transaction which will initiated by Tom and not else. This is an example of a replay attacks. Let we have look up another type of modification attack, that is alteration attack. In this alteration attack, alteration of message involves some changes to the original message. Now let us have a look how it works. We take some scenario. Alice has to transfer the $100 to Tom's account through the bank. In this time, from the alterate the information, he alters the amount of $100 instead of $200, in which the bank transfers the dollar of $200 to Tom, but Alice not to transfer the amount this much. This is a good example of alterations. Let's have a look on another type of active attack, that is denial of service attack. In this denial of service attacks make an attempt to prevent legitimate users from accessing same services which they are eligible for. Alice as an legitimate and valid user for access the bank to transfer the amount. Here Tom has to interrupt the bank and he is hacked to access the bank in spite of Alice. Bank provides all facility to Alice but without knowing this for Alice, but Tom has to be used. This is a good example of denial of service attack. Next we look up the passive attacks. It has consist of four important points. The first point is passive attacks are those wherein the attacker indulges the monitoring of data transmission. The attacker aims to obtain information, that is to transit. The term passive indicates the attacker does not attempt to perform any modification to the data. It is harder to detect and prevent rather than detected. Passive attacks are further classified into two categories: release of message contents and traffic analysis. In this type of passive attack, confidential data of users is released publicly over the network. Data confidentiality is lost in such scenarios. From this example, Alice has to access the bank details and services without credential. Meanwhile, Tom accesses the credentials and releases the confidential data as public. Any other person has easily accessed the data through the internet. From this example, we can understand the how to release the data content by Tom. Now let's have a look at another types of passive attack, that is traffic analysis. In this type of passive attack, the attacker tries to find similarities between encrypted messages and finds the original content. Such activities is called traffic analysis. In this example, Alice sent the message as encrypted format to Bob. In this situation, Tom enters and hacks the message to analysis of data and find the original message. This activity will be done in traffic analysis. These are the types of attacks. Now, let me summarize what we will done in this session. We have to understood what a network means, network security definition and its needs, and then finally we have to understood types of attacks. I hope this session is very useful to understand the basic concepts and types of attacks in network security. Thank you.